Welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and I travel full-time with my cat and my FJ Cruiser. Sometimes we take the travel trailer with us, other times all we've got is our overlanding setup. Last week I shared that I had left Thermopolis, Wyoming so I could start my very long drive down to Mexico. This week, we're first going to stop at the Grand Tetons so I could say goodbye to my favorite mountain range, and I also finally get to meet my friend Dustin for the very first time. Last week, I said goodbye to Thermopolis, Wyoming, and I mentioned the good times I had there and the amazing people that I met. But this week, I'm saying goodbye to the state of Wyoming in general. My stop at the Grand Tetons was the very last time I set foot in the state before heading to Mexico, and that is where I'm snowbirding for the winter. When I left Colorado, and I would say even when I left Thermopolis, it was still very much deep into summer in those areas. So I was really surprised going to the Grand Tetons through Du Bois and suddenly being hit with fall colors. It was a beautiful and welcome surprise because I never thought I'd see fall colors again since moving to the desert. Du Bois isn't that far from Thermopolis, Wyoming, so I got to Falls Campground fairly quickly. But once I was set up, I confirmed I had absolutely no service. So I had to unhitch and drive 22 miles back into town to let my mom know that I was okay. And I also texted Dustin to confirm what campground I was at and how to find my campsite. In addition to that, I also needed to update that week's video. And while I was doing that, I got stuck in this really crazy freak windstorm that then turned into hail. I wasn't worried. I was pulled over on the side of the road, and by the time I headed back to camp, it had ended and it was almost like none of that ever happened. I found it really interesting that I was stuck behind this caravan. It's 3 motorhomes all towing a Jeep, exact same setup for all of them, and I thought that was pretty cool. Dustin pulled into camp around the same time that I was returning. I really hadn't done much of anything before I left. I just put Shadow inside the trailer, unhitched the truck, and took off on that 22-mile drive to town. So while Dustin was setting up his tent, I also took the time to set up the RV, finish the leveling process, and all of that so that I could have a comfortable stay. Falls Campground was a recommendation from Kevin, and once I got there, I could see why he loved it so much. Dustin and I wasted no time in hitting the trails and seeing what the campground had to offer. We were not disappointed.
The drops here look so big.
One of the most beautiful things for me in this area is just the mountains, and we hadn't even gotten to the Tetons yet. That night, we lit a fire, I put my onesie on, and we hung out until about midnight. The following morning, we made the 1-hour drive to the Grand Tetons. If you're wondering why I didn't stay closer, well, I suspected that since it was a Friday evening, that I probably wasn't going to be able to find a spot in a convenient location closer to the Grand Tetons. I didn't want to risk not having a spot, so I just went ahead and stayed at Falls Campground, which was not that far away. Dustin came down from Montana and passed the Tetons on the way up and confirmed there were no camping spots. Dustin and I really wanted to go to Jenny Lake so that we could go kayaking or paddleboarding with that beautiful mountain range around us, but apparently there's a lot of fees and licensing and whatever that you have to get to be able to run your boat on the water, and we really just didn't want to deal with any of that, so we chose to instead hike up to Inspiration Point by Hidden Falls and just enjoy the view along the way. When I first started talking to Dustin, he was prepping for going back to a more minimalist and nomadic way of life. The items on Dustin's to-do list included quitting his job, selling his house, buying a more off-road capable vehicle, and effectively retiring in his 40s. That is a huge step and some pretty big items to have on a to-do list. And I can tell you, this video was filmed September 12th, I believe, and it is now December 22nd that I am doing the editing process, and Dustin has ticked all those items and then some off the list. I have serious respect for that because I meet so many people, guys especially, who, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, or I want to do this and I want to do that, but they're not actually willing to make the sacrifices to make it happen. So to meet someone who's a lot more like me, where it's not just a dream, it's a goal, and we will do anything to make it actually happen, nothing but respect for that. And I really hope that I continue to run into more adventure twins like Dustin. People tell me all the time that they admire my lifestyle and they want it for themselves badly, but they say they can't afford it. 9 times out of 10, when I actually start talking more deeply with these persons, the issue isn't that they can't afford it. The issue is that they're not willing to part ways with the material items that would have made it possible to fund that journey. And they're not willing to part ways with a very traditional idea of what our trajectory is supposed to be through life. Next week, I finally make it back to Vegas and I decide to donate my foldable mountain bike and upgrade to an electric unicycle that is super hard to ride. And then I drive all the way to Southern California and spend about a week trying to figure out how to ride this thing. But on the way there, I drove through my very first flash flood, and yes, I had the RV with me. So how exactly did that turn out? Well, I guess you'll have to find out next week. See you on Friday. Bye.